Good evening, everyone. Before calling the special council meeting to order for September 25th, I would respectfully acknowledge on behalf of council and the community that the city of Pembroke resides on the unceded traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We thank the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. It is with this statement that we honor and respect the Algonquins on whose land we reside. So call this meeting to order. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Mr. Lewis, one matter on this afternoon, retaining wall repair. Take it over.
Thank you, Your Worship. The recommendation of staff is that the City of Pembroke Council approve the following. The War Memorial Wall Reconstruction Tender Number T-25-18 be awarded to GP Splinter Forest Products Limited in the revised amount of $38,565 plus applicable HST, and that the budget shortfall of $16,743.74 be funded from surplus funds carried forward from the completed 2024 capital projects. At the August 12th combined committee meeting, committee approved the reallocation of $22,500 for the replacement of the Memorial Park wall. There is available carry forward funding from completed 2024 capital projects available for this shortfall. So we did discuss this on August 12th at that committee meeting. At that time, staff was directed to proceed with tendering of the works for the replacement of the retaining wall on the Pembroke Street side of the War Memorial Park. The wall has become a danger to pedestrians using the sidewalk, and as well as users of the Memorial Park. We have done temporary support to protect the pedestrians. The temporary support cannot remain in place, so when we're doing winter control activities this winter on the sidewalk, temporary supports are going to be in the way and cause significant grief. Regarding the tender, the contract was publicly advertised, tendered, 2 bids were received. We opened the tender and reviewed those tenders per our normal procurement policy. Bids were received as follows. GP Splinter Forest Products Limited at $54,975 and Bonisher Excavating Inc. at $71,430. As per section C5, 1.22.4 of the tender documents, the city reserves the right to negotiate price or terms with the lowest compliant bidder, and that of which we have done. The operations department, we discussed the scope of work with GP Splinter. We've decided to do the asphalt and concrete reinstatement works in-house using our annual tender contract and that budget. So the revised submitted price from the contractor is $38,565. So we did consider some alternatives. We discussed some of these on August 12th at the committee meeting. We could remove the wall in its entirety and not replace it. We would have to slope that grassed area back significantly into War Memorial Park. It would negatively affect and impact the park. We could complete temporary repairs on the wall for an approximate cost of $10,000, and then we could allocate the wall replacement at a future year. The temporary repair would be sufficient for about 2 years. Permanent replacement would be required. Temporary repair would not provide for the needed drainage behind the wall, nor the recommended railing to protect park users at the top of the wall. And it does meet the city's strategic plan impact for keeping our infrastructure in good conditions and for the downtown thriving and vibrant. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Questions and comments? Councillor Keel?
So the original budget of 22.5, if I'm basing that on the presumption that your office gives consideration to things or whatnot, were you shocked that the tenders came back at 2 and 3 times that amount? And do we understand why? Because we were looking for like a prefabricated like block retaining wall, correct?
That is correct, yeah.
So what is up with this? Like, these costs seem ridiculous.
So in answer to your first question, we were definitely shocked when the numbers came in. We were very surprised that the numbers came in as they are. One of the things that when we do our estimating, we're estimating the project itself. Sometimes we may miss the fact that it's so late in the year and contractors are really busy. We don't have a gauge on what the contractors are doing throughout the county. So we do believe that a portion of the increase is because contractors are really busy. We only did get 2 bids, and there's several contractors capable of doing this type of work. So contractors are busy, that's one of the things. Traffic control and the requirement for the drainage, the contractors put a higher value on that work than we did. We do a lot of storm sewer work, we do a lot of drainage work, and we didn't anticipate the contractors were going to value it the way they did. So that has also increased the price. It's not something, although we're taking a portion of the project on ourselves, that's not a portion of the project that we can take on, because the contractor would get in, do the removal of the existing wall, prep it for the new wall, have to leave, we'd have to come back in. So some of those delays would just be coordination nightmares and would increase the cost again. So we did review a number of things that we could take out of the scope to make things better. The restoration, as you can see the difference in the revised price and the original price, the restoration items were significant, whereas our annual tender is a fraction of that number. So time of year, contractors are looking at it, they are aware it's an emergency situation, priced accordingly.
And I have been told by contractors that once their calendar's filled up, that, you know, they might throw a stupid number out that they don't need to do the job, but if somebody does want to pay that number, that they'll move things around and make that money. So this is definitely not something we could just do in-house.
I'll answer that question 2 ways. We could do it in-house. We would delay other projects that we're working on. It wasn't, of course, scheduled for us to do that work, so it would delay other things that we're doing, may affect operations and maintenance. I can pretty much say with 100% certainty we would never make the timeline for Remembrance Day if we were doing it in-house. We just wouldn't have the resources to get it done in that time frame.
Is that the only downfall, is that we wouldn't have it done for Remembrance Day? Because like we could throw a quilt over the current wooden thing and make it look pretty for 2 hours on Remembrance Day.
I've got some concerns with safety, with the amount of attendees at the Remembrance Day and being in and around a wall that may not necessarily be safe. So I'd have to say that first. But again, we would lose operations and maintenance activities for the year if we had to devote crews down here.
But what would the cost be?
I'd have to go through that again, because honestly, we wouldn't use 100% city resources. Some of the equipment that we would need to do this work, we don't have. Our equipment rental contractor is one of the contractors that bid the job. So, you know, based on their timeline and our timeline, I'm not sure that we'd be able to, I don't see the benefit of doing it that way. I don't think we would save a significant amount of money to make it worthwhile to throw the operations department in a kerfuffle, if I can say it that way, to try and do it ourselves.
Well, that's fine, but we're talking $30-some thousand for like a 3-foot retaining wall.
And I understand what you're saying. I totally agree. It you know, we were at 22.5, it's now 38. But I don't think the number is going to come down, back down to 22.5. I really don't think it's going to make it down that far. So if it made it down to 32 or 33, is that cost saving significant enough to upset the rest of the fall plans for the operations department and the extended time on site? You know, even walkers coming down the street, the use of Pembroke Street would be, you know, delayed even further than what we anticipate with the contractor.
Okay, now, if I can, Councillor Friend, you wish to speak? We can see you, but you're muted as far as I can tell on the screen. You know. So, Councillor Frenier, do you wish to call Councillor Keel's cell phone, and then we can see you, and then I guess we could hear you that way? So you're going to type in the chat line? Yes? Okay. So while Councillor Frenier is doing that, does any other councillor, okay, Councillor Purcell?
Thanks, Chair. I look at the wall and I understand, I know there's been a lot of people doing retaining walls in the area as a result of some recent floods, me being one of them. It's not that exorbitant. The $38,000 is not. To plunk armor stone over a period of 45, 50 feet is about $20,000, and that was 2 or 3 years ago. That's just plunking armor stone on a foundation. So, considering that there's also a little fence that's on top of it, there's also the backfilling, the big O that they're going to put in behind it for water. It's overpriced, but not considerably overpriced in terms of $38,000. That being said, I would move that we go ahead so that we can have it done so it doesn't interrupt the operations at the cost of $38,565 plus GST.
Is there a seconder? So second by Councillor Giacono. And Mr. Binky, can you tell me whether, like, is the chat going to show up on my screen, or you're going to read it to us, or?
I'm working on getting it.
You're working on it. Okay, so you seconded the motion, Councillor Giacono. Did you wish to speak to it then?
I do, Your Worship. I have a tendency to agree about the initial cost, and the escalating costs. It's rather perhaps prohibitive, but if this was anywhere else in the community, I would probably vote, against it. But because of the historic value of the memorial site, I think that we are obligated for the fallen, the people that this memorial park commemorates over the last couple of wars, First World War, Korean War, Second World War. We have an obligation to do so. And for that, I'm trying to not vote with my heart, but I also have to vote with the reason of why we have to fix it. And as I mentioned to the councillors today, I met a lady here today from California who was saying what a beautiful community we have. I think initially, this is part and parcel of it, by maintaining what we have, especially on this site. This, to me, is hallowed ground, and that's why I'm voting in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Lewis, Councillor Frenier is asking to ask you if there's any surplus to cover this in your budget, and that she would like the project to proceed, but do you have money in your budget?
Through your worship to Councillor Lafreniere, the shortfall is being funded from surplus in previous capital projects, 2024 capital projects. I believe the treasurer had mentioned that at the last meeting, that there was those surplus. The restoration of the concrete sidewalk, the concrete curb as we connect to the existing catch basin for drainage purposes, that doesn't exist now and may have contributed to the wall moving, and the asphalt that may need to be repaired once we get around the catch basin, that's being covered by our O&M accounts.
And she's nodding and saying, okay, if I'm reading lips right. Councillor Giacono.
I know there was a push, previously, Your Worship, to put that memorial crosswalk in. And it was my understanding that there was a surplus number of dollars that were raised. Would that be correct? More money than they anticipate for the project? And perhaps would the Legion be willing to contribute to some of that? Or have they slated the surplus dollar? I'm not sure if that's correct. I may be, blowing wind. But if they had some additional funds that they, would like to help us out with, that truly would be appreciated to give to many other groups. Just an inquiry.
I can only tell you what their executive indicated to me was that the commitment from the city was up to $5,000. They generated the amount that they did to fund whatever the cost of it was, and the rest, as I was told, was being put in their reserves. That's what I was told. Now that everyone's had an opportunity to speak, from my vantage point, am I happy about this? I am not happy about the overage. It's not lost on me, though, that we are getting towards the end of the year, which I can still hear Mayor Lemay saying to council and to myself that we got to get projects underway early in the year, tendered early in the year before contractors fill up the amount of work that they need to do. If this was any other project, in other words, if it wasn't a project that needed to go, then I would be in the camp of saying, well, then we wait till next year. But it doesn't make any sense to me to spend, approximately $10,000 to put a Band-Aid on it, and then we're going to be back at it again. That doesn't make any sense to me. So, as some would say, you rip the Band-Aid off and you do the work. So I'm in support of the motion. I'm not, but make no mistake, I'm not happy about any of this. I just know that the reality is I've been here long enough that the closer you get to the end of the year, it's exactly as Councillor Keel is saying, is that they're full up in terms of work that they need to do. And so it's like when projects come up, it's like, okay, I'll bid on it. And I don't know what that means, but either someone was.
I have audio.
There we go. Good stuff. So I don't know if there's any final comments. If not, I'll call the question on the motion that was put forward. Seeing none, call those in favor? Against? And it is carried. Any follow-up on that, Mr. Lewis? No? Thank you. No closed session this afternoon, therefore no business arising. Confirming bylaw, Councillor Jacquinot.
Thank you, Worship. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Purcell that the bylaw 2025-74 to confirm the proceedings of the special meeting of council of September 25th, 2025 be adopted and passed. And further, that said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation, awaiting your signature, your worship.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Jacquinot, seconded by Councillor Purcell, that bylaw 2025-74 to confirm the proceedings of a special meeting of council of September 25th, 2025 be adopted and passed, and further said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation. Those in favor? That is carried. Motion to adjourn. I have Councillor Purcell, seconded by Councillor Keel. Those in favor? That is carried. We are adjourned. Thank you.